Hi, I'm Neil Snyder. Thanks for joining me for another Snyder Talk video commentary. This is part 2 of What Will You Do with the Rest of Your Life. It's a book I've written especially for you and anyone who wants to spend his or her time and energy pursuing the goals that Yahweh created specifically for us, things that Yahweh created us to do. To do that, we've got to learn to see things from His perspective. We can't look at the world from our perspective and expect to understand things from Yahweh's perspective. He needs to show us how to see things, and He said He will. This is what Paul said in Galatians 5:17. For the flesh sets its desire against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh. For these are in opposition to one another, so that you may not do the things that you please. And yet, despite what Paul said, and despite all the teaching in the Bible, most people spend all of their time trying to live their version of the American dream. Their American dream there includes where they're going to live, what kinds of things they'll own, how many cars, what kind of cars, boats, whatever else you think of owning, your family, the things that you want to do for them. If you stop and think about the cost of the things you think you need to live the life you want to live, you'll find out that it's enormously expensive. You ought to take a few minutes and just add up the cost, and you'll find out that what I'm saying is true. So we've got to stop, first of all, and think in terms of what do we need as opposed to what do we want. How much house do we need? How much car do we need? How many clothes do we need to have in the closet? This is not a joke, but a lot of people who built houses that later caused them to be in terrible financial difficulty were building those houses because they didn't have enough closet space in their old houses. Truth is, they had plenty of closet space, but they had too much stuff, and they had filled up their closets with things that they hardly ever used, probably never used most of the things. But you need to figure out what you need and buy that and buy no more. And that you don't spend, you save and invest. In 1 John 2:15, John said, "Do not love the world nor the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him." Let's just assume, and I believe it's true, that John meant what he said. If he meant what he said, and I believe he did, then that statement is an indictment against most of us. He starts out by saying, don't love the world. For if anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. I'm afraid most of us love the world. We spend too much time thinking about the world and pleasures of the world instead of the things that Yahweh created us to do. That's not the way it's supposed to be. The primary purpose of what will you do with the rest of your life is to get you thinking about the things that Yahweh created you to do, and then put yourself in a position to be led by God's Spirit to do the things He created you to do. And yet, as I said, I think most people spend most of their waking hours following the herd, following the crowd, trying to do what the others have done, trying to copy the Joneses. Here's a poem by Robert Frost. I like it a lot. I think you will too. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had warned them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, and leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. I know that's a secular poem, but its message is good. That's what Yahweh sees. He created a path for us to follow. And it's not the well-worn path that the herd follows. It's a path he created specifically for us. And Robert Frost's poem is about a man who took the path less worn, the path not taken. I'm afraid that we've adopted traditions. We've developed habits that are hindering us and causing us not to achieve the goals that God set out for us. We've got to rethink our habits. We've got to rethink our traditions and align them with the Word of God, with the things that Yahweh said, with the things we know. And then we've got to trust Yahweh to do what He said He would do. He said, if you ask, I will give. If you seek, you will find. If you knock, it will be opened. We've got to come to God in prayer and trust that He will show us the answers to the questions we ask. I used to use this poem in my leadership class at the University of Virginia. I found it to be very enlightening. My goal was to get them to see how easy it is for us to fall into the trap of just going through the motions of following in the footsteps of others who've gone before, not realizing that we're not following the path that Yahweh created for us if we're just following in the footsteps of others. The poem is called The Primeval Calf. I don't know who wrote it, but it's a good poem. One day through the primeval wood, a calf walked home as good calves should, but left a trail all bent askew, a crooked trail as calves all do. A dog took up the trail next day, a bear too went along that way, and then a wise bellwether sheep pursued the trail o'er vale and steep, and drew his flock behind him too, as good bellwethers always do. And from that day o'er hill and glade through those old woods a path was made, and many men wound in and out, and dodged and turned and bent about, and uttered words of righteous wrath, because 'twas such a crooked path. The forest path became a lane that bent and turned and bent again, and this, before men were aware, became a city's thoroughfare. And soon the central street was this, of a renowned metropolis. 100,000 men were led by one calf near 3 centuries dead. For men are prone to go it blind along the calf paths of the mind, and work away from sun to sun to do what other men have done. They keep the path a sacred groove, along which all their lives they move. But how the wise old wood gods laugh, who saw that first primeval calf. Truth is, most of us spend a lot of our time, maybe even most of our time, following in the footsteps of others, going where Yahweh did not intend for us to go, and we seldom spend the time to think through the things that Yahweh created us to do. We have specific goals. Yahweh created us for a purpose. That's a primary premise in this book. The goal of the book is to help you think through achieving the goals that God created for you. The book is an ebook. It's on Amazon. The title of the book is What Will You Do with the Rest of Your Life? You can go to Amazon, go to the Kindle store in Amazon. Inside the Kindle store, the title of the book is What Will You Do with the Rest of Your Life? You can read it on a Kindle, an iPad, a Sony e-reader, and other reading devices, or at no cost to you, you can download Kindle for My PC right from Amazon and then download it into your computer and read it there. Again, the book was written for you. It's written so that to help you think through the goals God created for you and you alone. And the truth is, as Paul said, the children of God are those who are being led by the Spirit of God. If you say you're a child of God and you're not being led by the Spirit of God to achieve the goals that Yahweh created for you, then you made a mistake. Because Paul said, those who are the children of God are led by the Spirit of God. Thank you for joining me for another Snyder Talk video commentary, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.